All right, we are live. RTD Late Night YouTube Talk Show. Excited to be back for another live stream. And tonight, I want to open up the phone lines and get an idea as to what the overall consensus might be about. It looks like a lot of people, a lot of states, a lot of governors are going to start recommending, if not forcing people to wear face masks as a way of slowing down this curve. So I want to get your thoughts on that, as well as the very concept of physical distancing and or wearing a mask. And so going to throw out a couple articles tonight and see what you guys think and then go from there. But before I move any further, let me make sure we are streaming well. Make sure there's people out there tuning in, and then we'll begin. So as always, if you guys are hearing anything, throw me a thumbs up in the chat so I know that there's somebody out there listening, and then we can keep going. And so it looks like we got Jason, Nathaniel. Okay, so a couple people getting here. So won't be long this evening, but I wanted to share some articles and get your thoughts and share with you a scenario that was, positioned to me by a family member. And so it looks like this physical distancing is becoming somewhat of a problem for a few people. So Rob B says, Cupid 96, social distancing disease. Oh, man. Psychological operations and social conditioning. Very true. Very true. And so I wanted to get thoughts and ideas and see what you guys think. And so let me actually move some stuff over and get situated a little bit. So that being the case, how's everybody doing this evening? Hope everyone's doing well. And if there's any articles or anything like that you guys want to discuss tonight, definitely let me know via chat or give me a call in and let me know what you might have come across in your neck of the woods, because we are in the second day of the month of April. And based upon all the very dark and grim news of what's coming is from the monetary and the economic side of things, this month will be an all-time high in unemployment, mortgage delinquencies, credit card defaults, and you name it, we're going to be setting records this month. And so I wanted to touch on the face mask situation because a couple articles today, it seems like there's a concerted effort amongst all governors, if not mayors, to try to push the need for people to really take this matter seriously by not only distancing yourself, but if you're out in public, make sure you wear a mask. And so I want to find out what you guys think. So Jason says, I work with UPS pilots and they told me that they are not and have need been taking any on barely precautions coming in and out of the countries, especially with China, even since it was started, they haven't really. So I wonder, how does those UPS pilots feel? Is it by choice, or they've been told that there's no need to wear or take any precautionary measures? Dale, hi, I love your work. Appreciate you, my friend. I am a shuttle driver for one of them, really. And so how do you feel about going back and forth and interacting with people who have been in countries that are probably hot spots? We got Northwest 6 from Washington State. How you doing, my friend? Says very somber, like I think people are going to wake up to this hoax. Yeah, very true. And so and that's where it's kind of it's a two-edged sword. And on one side, there's people that's contracting something, whether it's a severe case of the flu or whatever. It's changing lives for a lot of people in a very unfortunate way. But then on the other side, for those that might say it's more of a pure hoax, it's one of the things where I don't lean either way. I personally take it serious because there are people who are hospitalized right now on life support, like barely can breathe. And so it is something that I consider to be worth taking serious. Now, to the extent the way the mainstream media is blowing it up and hyping it up, that's another thing that I would question. So, but it says let me see, it's a shame that the gov and media criminalize the use of masks. Yeah, it says, Mike, how can we go back to normal when people are walking around with gloves and masks on just to go outside? Very true. And so I yesterday went to have a package delivered. And as soon as I walked into the desk, the guy stood back 6 feet and did his talk, and I backed up 6 feet. He came. So we're going like this. I'm like, damn, like this is what this all come to. So yeah, it says, Rob B said it's sniffles at best. I wish it was that simple. The empty hospital videos, though, yeah, and that's the interesting part. I've seen more than enough videos now that kind of contradicts the narrative that there's mass hysteria and there's lines and there's people running to get tests. And so you have the lines where the mainstream media positions the camera at an angle where you'll see 2 or 3 cars that looks like it's crowded, but then you have the alternative media gentleman that shoots the camera backwards and it's like 1 car. So yeah. But the subject matter is, as of now, the media is going to play this thing out. And in my personal opinion, there's no doubt that as this month moves along, the numbers that are given on the fatalities of this situation will be very high in nature. And so with that being the case, we can't deny that there's something happening. Now, the severity of it, we'll see. Now, so here's a question out there to my people who feel that this is a 100% hoax, nothing to it. This is all fake, false, whatever. Would you be the type of guy that walks up in the crowd and just act like everything is normal, or would you wear a little protective gear? That's kind of what I want to get your thoughts on this evening. And so, Mike, it's a purge. Yep. FYI, Kevin Millender. Yeah. So I was actually going to do a video and, utilizing the word purge, but I'm thinking like, that's a little bit too dark. So I personally wouldn't have thrown that out there. But Kevin, since you mentioned it, I'll let you run with that one. I'll put that one on you. And so I want to actually pull up a couple articles here, because this kind of sparked tonight's conversation, because I want to get your thoughts based upon a conversation I had with a family member who was like, hey, Mike, let's get together, man. You stay over there, I stay over here. And we stay distant, but we can be in the same environment. And I'm like, I thought he was joking, but it's one of them things where apart from me not wanting to invade his space, because I know he's a family man, has kids, and so I wouldn't want to be the one to put anybody in harm's way if I was or was not. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, can we get together still? We just all wear a little protective gear and hang out a little bit. So I want to find out what you guys think. And so let me see. Jonah says, no protective gear, no mask, not afraid, Mike. That's 100. So Jonah, are you practicing, or have you been acting as everything is normal, in and out of your parents' house, your grandparents' house, and everybody's house, like everything is fine? Or have you just kept that perspective to yourself and haven't bothered to, try to, impose yourself on anybody else because of them might wanting to distance themselves? Let me know in the chat. It says, I know 2 elders who went to the hospital last week, both passed away. Rest in peace. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's not good. That is not good. It's one of the things where, and I've heard stories. Unfortunately, the overwhelming majorities of stories I've heard about people who've gone in, by the time they've gone in, they've already reached that point where it's fatal. But then again, there's been a couple people that I've also heard about that have gone in fatal, but yet because of some of the things that they've been able to help them with, they're still here and they are in the recovering phase. So it's one of them things where, man, it's tough to call, because no one can play God. No one knows how healthy they are or are not, apart from the obvious situations we've all had before. But it's one of the things where, I wouldn't want to find out. So walk up as if it's normal conditions. All right. That's real, man. I appreciate your honesty. Let me see. SCPC says 300,000 in the U.S. with the CCPS virus now. How is that a joke? Yeah. So, yeah, to each his own. Everybody looks at it from a different perspective. I just want to put out there and see what you guys have to say. And so, okay, so 5G. So a couple people have thrown out the 5G, and I remember touching on 5G a while ago, but never dived deep into it. And so looks like just typing in 5G, see what pops up. Can the 5G stock deliver 5G? So I remember last year, especially, President Trump very adamant on the need for pushing 5G and being the leader and all this stuff like that, but not wanting to work with Huawei, even though Huawei leads the technology. And so is it coincidental that, we have this health scare, and then is it being linked with 5G? Some people relate to the Wuhan situation. They had a test trial of their 5G activated at the same time. Stuff jumped off there. That's the thing. Like, living in this alternative media reality that we're in, for those that are tuning in, we can throw out so many possibilities of what could be or what might happen, what this, what that. But it's one of them things where it's not until we have more than enough evidence in front of us to then look back and then connect the dots that we are able to come up with what the real deal is, i.e. what happened 20 years ago with the situation happened in New York. Everyone who follows alternative media know that was all planned and orchestrated, and unfortunately a lot of lives were lost. But in this big deep state game that they're playing, and we are being the pawns, there's no such thing as lives that are important in the grander scheme of things for those that are trying to rule humanity. So But let me get to these articles real quick, because you know me, if I don't, I'll keep talking all night. So here's an article here I want to pull up, which had me thinking, and a couple more like this. It says New York City urges all residents. It urges. So right now it's still in the voluntary phase. You can do it. If you don't, you won't. All residents to wear face coverings in public. And so once again, I've seen videos from New York where everything looks barren. No one's on the streets. People are, living their daily lives. But then, of course, you got the mainstream media hyping things up. So I wanted to put that out there to you guys and see what you guys are doing. Is there anybody watching right now that when you leave the house, you put your mask on when you're in your car? I've seen people in the car driving with their mask on, gloves on. And I'm thinking like, I don't know their situation. Maybe had prior situations of being immune compromised, or I don't know, but it just looks weird to see people driving fully geared up. And I'm like, have they even come near anybody? Dan says, Mike, I'm an engineer. Those buildings, they were brought down demolition style. Dan, no doubt. But here's the thing: 20 years removed, you can lay out all the documentations. There's so many documentaries and engineers of people in your field that have proven that those things were brought down strategically, like dynamite and all. But yet, 20 years later, we know what happened, but it still won't change anything. And I kind of think that's kind of where we're at now with all the stuff that's going on. Here we can talk about it being a hoax and it being real or this and that, but as of now, there's not much we can do about it, but just ride this thing out and along the way, try to figure out how we're going to maneuver, position ourselves, and hopefully somehow, some way rally together to where we're not succumb to more totalitarian style governmental structure, i.e. TSA and everything else that's become about since the last 20 years ago that hasn't been drawn back. So that's one of my biggest concerns. And then also for those that had a chance to watch the interview I did earlier with Joel Bowman, who's down in Argentina now, he laid out a pretty good, reason why as to, governments never usually withdraw back anything they put out there because it's intentional. It's all intended to build up on each other to where government positions themselves as the beginning and ends of our lives. And slowly but surely, every generation that we go by, pretty much every generation, the prior generation dies off, and then the incoming generation has no clue as to the way life was prior to. So to my kids and then their kids, whatever life going to come after this hoax or whatever you guys want to call it, it's going to be the new norm. And all they'll know is whatever the government gives us. So that's the sad reality. And so Black Cyber Network says 4G plus 5G equals 7G. Oh, okay. I'm still trying to figure out how come we don't have 4G LTE in every area in this country before they rushing to get some 5G. So Northwest 6 says, I wear a mask when I go to town. I live in a smaller town of 2,000 and wear it when I go out to larger towns of 31,000. We only have about 20 cases in our county so far. Really. There's no external killer virus. It's the poisoning of cells by 5G, and the results are flu and detox process. Jonah, that's some deep stuff there, man. That is some deep stuff there. So here's another thing. Okay, if 5G is as I said a months ago, that 5G is just typically it's a remote control to activate whatever is needed to activate to activate the bio weapon or bio tool, as I used to say, that causes the issues. But here's the thing: 5G is being put up constantly right now, I'd imagine, and it's in every metropolitan area. So it looks like the safest place to go is to the countryside, if that's one of the primary starters for this health scare that we're facing. So Spirit King says today the U.S. had about 1,000 COVID dead. That would be 365,000 a year on a linear scale. Man, Spirit throwing out the math like that. Yeah, and once again, the age range of the individuals you're referring to, I would imagine, if once again we don't get no data because there's a couple people in the 40s and definitely 50s and 60s and beyond that passed away from that. But to my knowledge, a lot of the people that are no longer here or on like severe life support, they all had serious issues prior to, which makes it that much harder to fight. So yeah. So Shane says a 98% survival rate. We already have herd immunity. The species that has seen this or something like it before and prepare psychologically to fight it off physiologically. Yeah, I hope that's the case, man. I hope that is the case. So why did people stop spraying the skies? I haven't looked up lately. I haven't paid attention by looking up lately. So you're saying there's no more chemtrails? There's been they've taken a month off from spraying the skies or what? There's microchips in the health scare vaccine. Jasmine. I think that's kind of what they actually want to throw out there. I don't doubt it. Here is let me see, there's another article. Where are we at? Nope, here we go. Here's one. It says, Texas town fines residents for not wearing masks in the public amid this outbreak. So imagine being in a town, Texas town, small town, as the caller just mentioned, and the sheriff or whoever says that you have to wear a mask if you're out in public, and if you don't, you're going to get fined. And so in Laredo, Texas, it says who do not cover their mouth and nose with a mask or other makeshift device could face $1,000 fine as this health scare continues to spread. Laredo City Council issued an emergency ordinance this week enacting several rules to curb the spread. So here you go. Here's something worthwhile. In your city, this could only really be enforced in a small area, such as I would assume in Laredo, because most people would just not stop. And to my knowledge, from what I've heard in the city of Detroit, I haven't really witnessed it yet, but someone told me that, they're basically, I'll keep that. It's personal, real personal story, but police are stopping people in the city of Detroit now. So out of concerns for themselves, they're not stopping. So people are able to get away with whatever. So the idea of, trying to find somebody for not wearing a mask, it wouldn't fly over too well in big cities. And so it says violating the ordinance will be a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by a fine up to $1,000 or jail for no more than 180 days. Could you imagine going to jail for not wearing a mask? So, but these are just some of the things that's out here that might be coming to a town near you. It says mask wearing policies added to San Diego County's public health order. And so what it says is the county has updated its face covering guidance. Employees who work with the general public must wear a cloth face mask. So putting in some new policies and procedures. And so let me put a question out there to you guys real quick. I want to get your thoughts and see what you think. So I assume by default, a lot of people, let me know in the chat if you are not, but I assume a lot of people happen to practice the idea of distancing themselves from their loved ones. I'm sure there's some that, pay it no mind, but I'd imagine the majority have decided to distance themselves. And so the question is based upon its title, physical distancing and or protective mask. Will there be some gatherings where you might all get together, big, small, whatever, but everyone will be required to wear some face protection so that when it comes to breathing directly, everybody will be shielded up. Do you guys, see yourselves doing some of that come, April, May, depending on some family events or whatever? And so I want to just find out, because as I start off saying tonight, a family member of mine wants to get together, and he threw out an idea of, you stand over there, I stand over here, he stand over here, we all can hang out. I'm thinking like, it's just, that's I understand where you're going with that, but I'm like, why don't we all just wear a mask? Just worst case scenario, just wear a mask, and we could just act like everything's fine. But not, we gotta, hug each other, stuff like that. But I want to find out what you guys think. And so I don't want to butcher that name. Vagra, if I'm not saying it wrong, says I'm already wearing a mask. Tony Black says I practice social trust. Fair enough, Tony. So what does that mean exactly? Give me some definition on that. What it says, chemtrails are real. The chems from the exhaust burnt hydrocarbons, or my car doesn't need to go through an emissions test. It's semantics. Okay. It says, no, we're not seeing anyone really, just our small family in the house. Fair enough. I think this is a bunch of Crypto Poppy TV. So are you out there gathering and everything's fine? And like tonight I had a birthday party for my nephew via social media. Like, so everybody had phones and we all looking at each other, hold up phones, singing happy birthday via the phone, just because it's one of them things where, we are practicing distancing ourselves in a short term. And So it was just different to say happy birthday via the phone, via like what were you using, Hangout or something like that. Says Mike, where are the phone lines? Phone me lines. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Let me get this up here. I apologize for that. So yeah, give me a call if you guys got some thoughts you want to share. Won't be on long. Just wanted to connect and get your thoughts. So from the chat, I'm not seeing much that leads me to believe that people are actually out there wearing their mask on the majority, or looking to get together for a barbecue the next couple of weeks and, you know, have a little social gathering wearing your mask. Everybody got to wear a mask. Says most people are following the fear-mongering narrative by media and governments, unfortunately. Very true. But Jonah, it's one of them things where despite the overhypeness of the mainstream media, definitely blowing it out of proportion, because a lot of it is propaganda in nature. But then you have the idea that there is something going on. And the fact there's something going on is it should get our attention, which I think it does. So let's see what we can get here. Let me see if we got a call here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Make sure I got somebody here. Hello? Let me try to do something else. Get some out of there. Let me see if we get something. Poor connection. Let me see if I got a microphone. All right, can you hear me? Anybody there? Oh. Hello? All righty. I got to get my stuff together. Give me 1 second. Let me try something. Hello, caller. Anybody there? All right. So give me a second. Let me try to get something going on my end. Thought I had it figured out, but I guess I did it. So give me a second real quick and I'll get that going. I apologize for that. Trying to use a different phone and it still didn't work. Let's try this one. Talk amongst yourselves real quick. Let me try this real quick and then we can keep it moving. And then go from there. Shoot. All right. So we should be good to go. Let me exit out this one and then I should be good to answer some stuff here. All right. So, all right, let's try it again. So let me see. You got an incoming call. Let me see if it's going to ring on this side here. Let me see if I get a little ring on action on this side, if it works. All right. So give me a call back. I should be good to go on this phone here. I apologize for that. Let's see if it rings. Interesting. Technology, I tell you. Man, I hate the fact it's not ringing. So it looks like I might not be able to. Missing calls, but they're not ringing. It's not ringing. So, all right. So the attempt was there. I really did. I really did try. I really did try. Or I can try calling somebody back. So, oh man. So yeah, it's here we go. All right, here we go. Bam, we got a call. Man, let's get this going. All right, let me see if we get to make sure I got it on speakerphone. All right, we should be good to go. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? All right, I apologize. Now start over one more time. Max, who's calling? Where you calling from, buddy?
Hey, this is Kevin. Kevin Miller, the caller from Suitland, Maryland.
Kevin from Maryland. How you doing, boss man?
Hey, great subject again, Mike. We love the subject. Thank you for all you do for us, Mike.
Appreciate you.
Hey, I want to talk about. I want to throw the word out there again. It might be a little strong, but it's a purge.
A purge. Okay, so I thought about the same thing, but it's like I didn't like that. I didn't like that movie trilogy, so I didn't want to use that.
Qualify it, Mike. Let me qualify a little bit.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So let's go to Luke 17.
Okay.
There's two women at the meal.
Yeah.
One's taken, one's left.
Yeah.
Now, I've been through the whole Christian doctrine thing. I've heard the whole rapid teaching. That's actually ass backwards. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the Messiah break down his own discourse, he says the one that's taken is the one that's left.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the statement. I'm trying to look at the verse now and find it myself. But go ahead.
The reason I say I use a statement is a purge is because irregardless right now, whether it's a virus or the 5G or a combination of both, overstaring people is population control. It's a purge. It's out of control.
Yeah.
Unless you're a person like me and Mike, who guess what? I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of trust. There's no fear.
Yeah.
It's in the hands of the Most High. Once I put it in his hands, guess what? I better not walk in no fear and no anxiety now, because now I'm putting that over my actual convictions of who's got the power. Right. I got the power, or I got the media, the mind control. Who's governing my mentality? The government, or the truth of my spirit, my heart? Or we're going to walk in the spirit, or we're not going to walk in the spirit? Yeah. Let's talk about it, gang.
Hey,
let's talk about it.
That's real, man. I appreciate you, Kev, for sharing that, man. That's definitely. I like how you.
Always, we love you, Mike.
Appreciate you, boss. Love you too, man. Be good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good stuff, man. Like I like how he looped it back around and left it on the Lord's plate. So I like that, man. Yeah. So population control. So everybody in alternative space know the agenda of minimizing the population for their sake of having less people, as they say, the earth. Oh shoot! Shoot! The earth can't take, as they say, the earth population can't withstand this and that, and that's a bunch of hogwash. Because how in the world do they know, apart from them trying to put together some data and all types of stuff that I wouldn't necessarily believe in? Let me see here. I want to end that call and get this other one here. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Caller, how you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Dan from Vancouver, Washington. How are you?
I'm doing good, Dan, from Vancouver, Washington. What are your thoughts?
Man, well, I just want to commend you on your attempts to deal with your phone line there. I know it's a pain, but it's so cool that you put up your number. It's like, I don't know about anybody else out there, but I almost feel isolated. You know, I imagine that's why a lot of us and people like you do your YouTube channels, because there's not a lot of people in our mindset, like living next door to us that we can talk to. So I appreciate that about you.
I appreciate you, man, for calling in. What's on your mind?
But you were talking the other day, and I really wanted to call in and just tell people what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I'm not giving out financial advice, but I have a mortgage.
Okay.
And I claimed forbearance on my mortgage when all this stuff started.
Yeah.
And you still have to pay that money back at the end of a time period.
Yeah.
But there's no interest, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm just keeping that money. I'm not spending it. I'm not being stupid, because I could pay it easily.
Yeah.
But I'm just setting it aside because you get the forbearance for 6 months.
Yeah.
Why pay it? Because in 3 months they're gonna make you stop paying anyways.
Yeah.
So you could be doing that with everything. Like they're doing that with utilities where I live. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, don't pay it. You could pay it in 6 months, no interest. It's like if you could just save the money and be disciplined and don't spend the money that you would normally spend on bills, then when they come out and they throw a moratorium on all this stuff, you're going to have a little bit of, fiat. Maybe you're going to have, whatever, 5-10 grand, however much your bills are.
Yeah. And
you can actually put that into an investment vehicle that's going to make you wealth instead of just disappear. And when they eventually do a moratorium, and then, hey, if they come out with a cure for a virus and all the conspiracies get killed and we go back to normal and we have a V-shaped recovery and Trump woohoo in November, then just pay your bills. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah. Hey, man. And that is a strategy. It looks like you thought it out. So more power to you, my friend. I'm sure you're not the only one that, that think that way and probably working that same strategy. So, do what you do, my friend. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people out there are just struggling and hustling, and that's just, I don't know. I'm not telling people what to do. I think maybe more people could be doing that, because the banks and the commercial real estate and everybody's just taking advantage of this whole system. And that's really the only way I can see to take advantage of it like they do, is to just kind of play the games. And maybe people get mad at that, like, oh, if you could pay it, you should pay it. But hey, whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, And to everybody in the chat, man, chemtrails aren't real. Get over it.
Yeah. Now, so those perfectly perpendicular and parallel lines in the sky, they are what?
Man, I just think they're contrails. I've listened to so many scientists, like on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's had so many debates with people about that. I think that's like the best place for information. And I live next to a retired Air Force pilot. Mm-hmm. You know, and I've talked to him about that before too. And I maybe it's true, man. But the thing I have with conspiracy theories, like with the virus and with 5G and everything, is that I hate to give the government that much credit. You know, like I can totally see where everyone's coming from. You know, they're doing this, they're covering this up, they're doing this to us and all these things. And I just, maybe that's true. It seems like it, but I hate to give them that much credit. I don't think they're that smart. I really think they're just that bad of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but, maybe I am wrong.
Yeah, I said I'm not a scientist. I just would go way out there thinking that whatever they're doing in the sky is not for our benefit, and so science may try to explain it one way or not. I don't think they're up there trying to do something that's going to be good for humanity itself. So that's just my thought without even being a scientist. So, but hey, man, I appreciate you calling.
Hey, I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Thanks.
All right, bye.
Good stuff there, man. Yeah, appreciate you calling, man. Appreciate you calling. So I'm curious to hear more thoughts. So I got a couple more articles I want to share about. Let me see here. Grab some other stuff here. So here's something. Remember, about 2 weeks ago, I think President Trump was saying that, and Dr. Fauci was saying that there's no need to go out and protect yourself. There's no need to get masks and stuff like that. And so I'm thinking, like, imagine if our leadership would have been ahead of the curve, being proactive as opposed to reactive, like the way that it always seems that they are, just because that's just how they operate. And so imagine if he was telling people back then it'd be in their best interest to have some protective gear, just because, as opposed to saying it's just, we have one case, 2 cases, and they're getting better. There's no real concern, knowing dang well that as this stuff blows through, it's going to be pretty severe for those, especially that are immune compromised already. So why wouldn't he have been telling people to go out and take some precautionary measures ahead of time, just to be a president that's ahead of the curve for once? But here's an article here. It says White House expected. White House. So now the White House is expected to urge Americans to wear face coverings in public. So remember when Dr. Fauci was always talking about the growth curve and us not wanting to go like this, we want to go like this. And so during that time frame, when they were talking about not wanting to go here, but keeping it here and getting ahead of the curve, why didn't they suggest this then? So that lets me know that anything that the political figures say, predominantly those that are a part of that, task force, anything they say, they're already 2-3 weeks late. And so right now, the whole stimulus, just last week, they signed a stimulus. I think that was phase 1. I thought it was phase 1, but not even a full week. They talking about phase 4. So that lets me know that all this was already pre-packaged and planned, because I'd imagine phase 4 could probably be 1,000-page booklet of information on who all getting their back scratched and who all getting extra funds. They just go in the file cabinet and grab out phase 2, 3, 4. Oh, phase 4 is right here. Here you go, President. Let's vote on this. So this is how backwards all this crap is. Michael Robinson says they did the same thing to the Chai Coms, did lie and grab what you can. Chai Com. Micah, what is that? I'm missing that one. What does that mean? I'm not getting that one. It says you need a full face respirator. Who's that now? Full face respirator people. So you mean a full-fledged, all that. Yeah. So yeah, but it's just interesting that all of a sudden now the White House expects to urge Americans. So come on now, where was this information at a month ago before stuff hit ground zero the way it has now? And once again, I'm of the mindset that April's still going to be that hot month of a lot of people. Now that now that more people can be tested, they're basically going to find out that they already had it for some time now. So the test is really irrelevant because it's going to boil down to those that are symptomatic and actually in need of care right then and there that I think will ultimately matter. So, yeah, says fines for not wearing face masks. Yeah, that's real. Remember, Mike, when I mentioned the liability issue several weeks ago? Liability issue. Our time is out. Refresh my memory. Say, who needs a mask? It's a fearful sheep will be responsible for your temple and raise your frequency and alkaline levels. No doubt. Yeah, I've upped my my pH, drinking a lot more heavily. Was 9.5 water myself. It says, why aren't doctors using hydrochloroquine for treatment? And on Tang. So, for what I've gathered, there's been more physicians now that's using that particular method that the doctor in New Jersey decided to use. So I don't doubt that more people are, but it's one of them things where the actual recipe for all that cocktail of stuff is very unique, that it's been effective, but not every doctor is qualified to use it. I'm not sure if I want a doctor to experiment on me with something he got off the internet. Micah says there was a video of a Chinese woman buying N95 masks and shipping them to China, then bragging online about none for Americans. Wow, really? I didn't see that. But one thing I've noticed is that I saw a plane tonight. I think New England's Patriots, and the headlines. I'm not sure if it was official, but the narrative, the caption was, if the Patriots can go to fly to China and bring back 2 million masks, how come somebody else can't do it, or something like that? So, yeah. James, it says 2 years ago they changed what a pandemic is. Used to be more deaths than the average flu. Average flu kills 6,000 a month. C19 about 500 a month. Heavy dose of vitamin C is answer. Heavy dose of vitamin C. Yep, I'm on that vitamin C stuff too. Says, do you think public pensions are toast? Oh man, that's public pensions. Whew, public pensions are as good as toast. There's no way of bringing back public pensions. I think we talk about an article. This is something fresh off the press. This gives you an idea as to what's the real deal with this. And so, of course, the cover up is going to be this health scare, but all that was having problems well before the health scare. It says the virus is making the public pension crisis even worse. So the public pension crisis was bad well before this health scare. This health scare is going to help tip it over the top, because all central banks are going to do now. So this public pension situation is a global event. The fact that there's been more promises extended that could have ever been met in the first place, given the fact that all the municipalities and private corporations and all the people who made those promises, they've never set aside enough funds to meet their current obligations, nevertheless the long term. So the funds just aren't there. So everybody's gonna get shafted. So apart from the people receiving something now, enjoy that, because if you're anticipating retiring in this next decade, it's not happening. It is not happening. So this is just an interesting article here. And then here's another little something here from Forbes. It says pensions in a pandemic. Is one man's bailout another man's pension funding relief? So question is this whole bailout situation, because the corporations get liquefied now, but they're not talking about liquefying any of those pensions and providing funds for them. Because think about it. Anything that's for the people, anything that's offered as a retirement vehicle, those are all corporate ploys in the first place. Just the very concept of retirement. This decade, we're going to find out it was all a corporate ploy. What I mean by ploy, as far as they were selling you wolf tickets to get your best up front, with the hopes that they'll be able to get through all this and hopefully give you something at the end. And as we're witnessing the end now, unfortunately, it's going to be a lot of broken promises. Yeah, the CEOs quit together. Yeah, so they cashed out last year, and then they quit this year. So they cashed out and dumped all the equities on everybody else, and now they retired, and they probably got little retirement bonuses and everything else, and so they living high on a hill or in a bunker somewhere, waiting this thing out. And so it says, I'm hearing stores have been told to wait 60 days before raising their prices. Have you heard? Ooh. Oh, man. So depending on what stores you're talking about, because as of now, the only stores, the mega stores, the Walmarts, we got the Kroger's and the whatever else that might be in your area, the major food chains, they're the only ones that are probably able to really do business in this current environment. All the small mom and pop. So this current closure and virtual mandate of telling people to stay in the house has now basically it will lead to the absolute closure of small businesses. All small businesses, mom and pop spots cannot compete with the big retail boys of any kind. And so I saw an article, let me pull this up real quick, that mentioned that, a lot of businesses have closed their doors for the last time because they won't be able to compete when it's time to open doors back up. So to close, let me see, for good. Let me see if I can find an article. And to close, for us, here we go. Here's a little something here. So here's a little, this is not it, but this is just a little, let me see. I can find something better. But it was an article that referenced that, I think it was, they threw out a number of the total amount of small businesses that have gone out of business. To close, they've gone out of business, and because the businesses they're not made to compete. So here's just a little article here. It's not what I had in mind, but you get the idea. It says, and they're pinning this on this health scare, knowing that well before then, a lot of these small mom and pop stores were either in debt, barely profitable, or just having enough to get by. And this health scare put them over the top. And so they're not the ones that want to take out debt to stay in business, to then open back up and to be not able to compete price-wise with the big conglomerates. So as a part of this shift, as this blows through, there's going to be less little small kiosk up and opening again. So especially in Detroit and outside the suburbs, they built so many small mom and pops restaurants that you never would even go think about eating in at the wrong time. I was wondering over the last 2 years, like, why are they building so many these small little hole in the wall restaurants where I'm like, it's too much competition, but B, they're building at a time where this thing is about to come to an end. So now they're closed and they will not be opening again because they probably borrowed to open up and they're not gonna be able to make those bills. Anyway, I'm ranting too much. It says, let me see. They need people in seats and consistent new customers. With all the closure, people are going to only major brand names. Very true. Very true. So there'll be nothing to open up to. Ecclesiastes says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. Okay. Is that 100% scripture there? I never come across any grinding is low. Better word. Appreciate that, my friend. So yeah, I just wanted to check in tonight, share with you what was happening in the news, get your guys' thoughts on as to whether or not in the days ahead, especially here in the Michigan, today we had a great sunny day. People were out about in their yards or whatever. And, I end up going to get me a nice little run in and stuff like that. So, just that good weather, man, it brings you out of the house. Now, are you going to come out of the house wearing full-fledged gear? And, will you be looking to get together with family and friends wearing some protective gear, or you're going to ride this thing out knowing that there's no end in sight for this current little health situation? So I think a lot of people will be tested as to whether or not they can withstand being separated from loved ones. And so that's some say you're not ranting, you're preaching. I appreciate that, man. But everything good must come to an end, people. So we've been about 40 minutes. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. If you've enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up. And then just scroll down below. And I got a couple free resources there. And as always, for those that want to connect offline and want to share what's happening in your world, go to rethinkingthedollar.com and join the little chat page there and share articles or whatnot, videos or whatever you guys would like to share with the community. Definitely looking to try to grow that so that if in case we're disrupted here, you always know where to find me at the website itself. So no thumbs for me. All right, Tony. I appreciate that, man. Be honest. Anyway, y'all be best, be safe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Friday. Peace.